We'll start the August 26, 2025 work session. You've had the minutes. So are we just doing, is it our,
We have two public hearings.
yeah, I know, but in the work session section, but on the review of your regular minutes, right? Is it just the one section, or you got the work session and the regular minutes?
Yeah, what do you? Yeah, it's both.
Okay.
On the regular agenda.
No problem. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns about those? Hearing none. So we have a second public hearing on a notice of setting the city millage and adopt a 2025 millage rate, which represents the same as the previous year, 7.514. There's a slight change in the property tax by 10.78%. As we've said many times, you know, we should have already done all these public hearings, but the tax commissioner had a change in dates, so we'll doing it again. So most of you have sat here before for one of our wonderful public hearings. I think this would be number 5, or is it number 6, Baker? It's a lot, you know. So any new public hearing that has a comment? Yeah, we didn't have any new comments either, outside of the fact we'd like not to produce this. Any comments from the city council? Ms. Knight?
No comment.
Mr. Qua? Ms. Dean?
Nothing changed, right?
No, nothing changed. Just re-advertising it for paperwork dates. And Ms. Wynn?
No comment.
And being there's nobody in the audience, we will end the public hearing. Okay? Does that fit your criteria, Mr. Victor? Okay. Promise we won't have to do it again?
One more.
No more? All right, we'll hold you to that. All right, ordinances and resolutions, so ordinance 25,
Wait, you have to do the moratorium ones now.
that's correct. But these, the moratorium sets a second section.
Right.
All right, well, no, that one's actually easier, and that might have some questions for some people. All right, so what we're requesting is a public hearing, but this will take a little explanation. The city has a series of cell tower ordinances, which is related, remember back in the day where they were just throwing these things up and you know, they didn't look very good, you know, and sometimes they were putting them in places that weren't appropriate. And in some cases, they didn't need them because the overlay of what was there just said, hey, I want to put up my own tower, make my own money. You know, so the city, you know, set up some rules, and it basically said if there was an existing cell tower, you know, and it had available space on it, you had to use it, right? So you couldn't just go out and build your own. That, you know, you had to site it in a place where it made sense, and in their industry, you know, there's lots of ways to be able to tell, you know, how far out, you know, the cell coverage was, and so that was basically your city code. Over the years, you know, technology has changed. So we've seen some that were on rooftops, for an example, that the average public would never see. And then now we're starting to see, and it's not like brand new data, but you're starting to see what they call these small cell sites. And in Clayton County, they don't seem to have as much of an issue with it as we might have. And that is where they're literally starting to put these little small cell towers up and down the roads. You know, and we've for years have tried to, you know, reduce the amount of power lines that we have, put a lot of things underground, you know, allow us to have a better beautification. And we want to be able to control that. And so to do it, the first thing you do is you do a moratorium which says we would like to have the ability to at least understand it a little better. We want them to, you know, be required, just like these major towers, prove it, right? So an example, you know, let's say out here in City Hall Park, or let's take private property. Let's just I don't know, the festival parking lot, Best Buy or something like that. You know, you have all of these parking lot lights, and they're on pretty big light poles. Right? Why couldn't you use that as a location versus somewhere else? Right? Why are you adding more visual blight and a number of these other things? Yeah. So you know, and then, are you sure you really need the coverage? Or is it you're getting away from our original answer where, you know, we push you to be on these bigger towers. These bigger towers still exist, and, you know, we know where they are in and outside the city. and you just don't wanna pay it, right? So now you've come up with maybe a better way to reduce your cost. And in that case, you're saying, well, you got these public right-of-ways, I'm just simply gonna use them. Well, you gotta pay for them, right? Everybody that's on a public right-of-way's gotta pay for them, you know? And so you gotta show that. So this is what we have, is to be able to sit there and go, we have reason to believe this is gonna be a problem. You know, other jurisdictions may not appreciate the problem. I'm sorry? Okay. No.
It's the city clerk, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, no, that's fine. I just want to make sure I had it in there. So that's where we're gonna start. And, Mr. Baker?
Are you opening the public hearing now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a public hearing, right? So the first one was the definition of a number of different things. The idea is to set a moratorium on it. Obviously, they want some input. It's hard to have input when you have no idea what we're talking about.
More likely.
Yeah.
Correct.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Atlanta, I come back.
There, you said you put them in the right of ways, I mean, what are they, like mini sales or?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
This is specifically for the, as authorized in section 1701 of the Morrow zoning code, that the mayor and council can consider to, and we are considering imposing a moratorium on the acceptance, processing, and approval of any new applications, permits, or requests for the construction, installation, or placement of any cell tower, including but not limited to small cell wireless facilities, which is apparently a new rave. But this is, was that 2022 or something? 2019, I believe, when they first started looking into those, and all of a sudden we have one that came in. But we want to examine the parameters of what we can and can't do with that particular placement of that cell tower.
Is it for capacity, or
It-
is it for handoff?
I believe it's more of a repeater type situation, as they've explained it in their permit, which hasn't been exactly forthright in some of the things they put in there, but that's what we want to have some time to examine, exactly why you would need that, unless it's just a boost or a pass-through.
Towers around.
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
And in a lot of instances, they put them out for capacity purposes.
Right.
And you got multiple carriers on each tower, so, now, I mean,
We don't either. That's why we want to wait.
I'm very familiar.
Well, and then even to power them, so let's say you take a power pole that's in the middle of your parking lot, you know it doesn't have overhead power to it, it's being fed underneath, you know the power exists. One of the poles that we had, they literally would be taking power, taking it off a telephone pole and running it across the street, which of course defeats the purpose of what we were trying to accomplish in the first place. You know, long-term, as you see in the city, you know, you see a lot more of those green boxes, you know, so you're seeing underground power, less issue with trees, less issue when you have outages and things like that. So we just need to have a moratorium that allows us a chance to review it. You know, once we have an idea of what we want to do, you know, then, you know, get, you know, legal review to make sure that, you know, we've got a process. And they just can't pop these things up, you know, literally, and when you do right away, that's every street in Morrow.
Don't they have a permit to put it up
They do,
from us or the county?
us, in the city of Morrow. But if you're gonna do right away, and there's no rules at this point, you know, they could do it in front of your house, my house, you know, wherever they want. And you're going, maybe that's not a good idea. And in all cases, the one answer I still think you should have to have is prove that you need it, justify it, okay? And show us where you went through and done your homework, just like the big cell towers, you know?
Yeah, you need a RF radio frequency engineering.
Yep, and they have them, because that's how they theoretically located it in the first place, you know? But what I'm hoping for, or what I think is happening, is they just want to get away from paying somebody else.
They
Right.
won't pay the lease.
And these leases are long-term, you sign into a long-term contract, but example, you know, they got the big one, down here at the Lake Harbor Shopping Center, that's over there by Harbor Terrace, remember, we made that one look like a tree? They've got another one, down here beside the car wash, on the back side of the car wash. We've got one on a property on Skylark. The county's got just this monster down there at, Maddox Road. There's another monster, you know, over here, behind Kentucky Fried Chicken. I mean, and there's even bigger ones, that go way up there, you know, at 1941 in Morrow Road. You know, there's another one, remember the one down in Jonesboro that, you know, looks like it's talking to somebody from outer space? You know, and,
Not conflicts with each other?
no, they're on different wavelengths, right? So in the wavelengths, just like TV and TV stations, each one has a spectrum that they're paying for. And they,
Is that expecting where they're
The new ones, of course, you have to have them permitted, and that's the idea, is you're supposed to inspect them. You're supposed to say, is there a need? You know, and whoever got there first, and some of these things can hold 25, 30 different, you know, capacity sections on it. And over the years, you've seen them take some of that out. In other words, you stare at the tree over there and you know it's not full. Right? So we just want to make sure that we're up to date too, and you know that whatever's going to happen is something that makes sense. Everybody good? Comments from the city council, Ms. Knight? Mr. Quah? Ms. Wynn?
No.
Ms. Dean?
Not necessarily a comment, but a question. For these, small cell wireless facilities, what would that be?
No, she was asking just what is it, or what does it look like to some degree?
It could look like a chip, it could look like that emblem up there.
Yeah. Well, what they would like to put up is a telephone pole with stuff that's hanging on it. And
It's
you're
the same
going,
facilities.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a pole or something. Is this
Yeah,
something inside
I
of
think
it?
that's a
No,
definition.
it's actually at the top
but
of the
it's-
pole, like they wanted to put up a wooden pole to stick the implements on,
Yeah.
so.
So you're saying they come in and put a telephone pole and what?
Like
You know, like you would
boxes
see like a camera or something sitting at the top that looks like a, you know, little beacon. You know, the stuff to hang off of it is,
Carry one person's,
no, I don't think it's one person, but it's, just think of it as, they figured out how to make things smaller. And, you know, something that might have been a bigger antenna, they're now saying, I'll tell you what, we'll do 100 small ones. You know, in which case they simply would go down a street. Now, to some degree, the ones that Clayton County signed off on, they actually hang off of the actual light pole, light section itself. And then they pay Clayton County a certain number of dollars per light section. And you're going, that's not what they're producing here, is they don't wanna be on a light pole. They wanna get their own power, throw up a telephone pole, and, you know, then how do you know who's who and how much and, you know, where you're getting power? You know, even our own code requires you to do underground power, right? You can't just put this stuff anywhere you want. So, but that's the beauty of the moratorium, is to say, let's take a look, and, you know,
we don't need them on every pole, is what they're trying to do.
we don't, and we prefer that they pick existing places that are already there, you know? And that would have been the logical point, right? You know, go into a parking lot and pick a light pole that already exists. What difference does it make? You know, it's 25 feet off the road versus right there. You know, but the real answer is, you know, somebody's gonna charge you money to do that.
Can I ask a question on that? When you say
Yeah.
somebody's gonna charge you money,
Private
is this,
property owner.
is this, where you have a certain company or a certain, you know, a vendor, for a lack of a better word, that will purchase a site and then sell
Well, once
to other,
it's up,
once they, you know,
yeah,
get the
once
permit?
it's up, we don't even know what they're doing on the poles after that, right? I mean, if somebody says how many gigabytes, how many people, no idea.
So, is that something that we're looking to find out before going?
I think we're trying to get up to speed on the new technology, right? And that would be whatever that totally means.
And this is a vendor that's actually, it's not an affiliated to a company per se that we're looking at right now. Loose association, shall we say. So it's, and I don't know if that's because they want to put it up and then try and sell it, or,
Yeah, because I think I remember a couple of administrations ago that something like that was happening. They came back and they wanted to be able to lease, you know, cells to other vendors. And,
Well, that do happen. You can have multiple carriers, AT&T, Verizon, Mr. Baker's telecommunications company, and all in one house.
yeah, and that's where the, what do you call it, the aesthetics and whatever comes in, right?
yes, ma'am.
Having all that stuff on one place, okay,
And once you have it up, you're not gonna be able to control it,
yeah.
and you probably never get it done. Any other questions? All right, that'll close that public hearing out. Then we go into Now, a series of these are gonna be ordinances and resolutions. Resolutions we read one time, and ordinance you read twice. So the first one is to set the millage rate, and I'm assuming we're reading that twice.
This will be the first time and the second time.
First reading for the
First time for the second time,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so that one's related to the tax millage, and we've talked about that for a while. The other one is related to 2506, is related to the moratorium that we just discussed in the public hearing. The third one is intergovernmental agreement for the Board of Elections. So that's a resolution, so we passed that tonight. Tell us a little bit about that, Mr. Baker.
Yes, resolution number 2505 is a resolution calling for the City Council of the City of Morrow, Georgia to authorize city officials to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Clayton County Board of Elections and Registration for election equipment and to provide for an effective date on said agreement. This is for us to be able to, and it's not a lease, they're going to loan that to us for no charge for the conduct of the municipal elections.
Any questions, Ms. Knight?
No question.
Mr. Quah?
No question.
Ms. Dean?
I do have some questions, regarding this. We're doing a intergovernmental agreement for equipment,
Yes, ma'am.
so, where is the breakdown for what it's gonna cost us? How do we know if we're entering into an agreement, but we don't have the cost for?
There's no
what's-
cost associated. They're doing it for free.
Well, who's, all of the, what's stated in the rest of the thing there, there's managers and all of that required, and that's for free?
No, the equipment is for free.
I understand
this
the
is-
equipment is free, that's a loan, but
The obligation of what
the
we're
staff and
gonna,
everybody else that is gonna conduct the,
yes, ma'am, that's on the third page of the agreement, which it states under subsection, I think it's under Article 1, paragraph F, where we're responsible for receiving and returning the voting equipment. We'll be responsible for printing the ballots, absentee ballots.
when you say responsible, that means that the cost is ours.
Correct, but that's not this is what we're responsible to do. There's no cost associated with this agreement, which is specifically for the rent of the, or the, of
machines.
getting the equipment, acquiring the
Right.
equipment,
Mhm.
which they're obligated by the state to loan out, and they do that, so.
That I understand. But once we get into the intergovernmental agreement, so the rest of this, where it states that what is required to have the election, once we have the equipment. So where is the breakdown for what's required to have the election? The equipment is one thing, but where's the information regarding who's gonna, the city clerk is in charge of the elections?
Yes, ma'am.
I saw, the city is responsible for mailing out absentee ballots. I saw, where there's all the different requirements to hold the election once we get the equipment. So where's the breakdown for that? Our part.
This is our agreement with this is what the county had sent us. The reason the equipment's free is because it's state-owned, so they're obligated to do that to each municipality if they're doing their own elections. These are obligations, so they're telling us what we have to do. They're just saying that they're not gonna do any of the stuff that are required in here by the state if they loan us the equipment.
Right.
So it's not included. This is the agreement from the county itself.
Yeah, I understand that part. I understand that, but what I don't understand is what happens after we sign the agreement. What happens next?
Well, if we're gonna conduct the elections, then we have to provide those services, and really only cost associated with that would be a hiring of an experienced poll manager and then some of the poll clerks, because the election superintendent will be the city clerk.
So, what is it gonna take to mail, we have to pay for printing of absentee ballots, mailing
Yes,
it
ma'am.
out, all of that, so what is that gonna cost?
Do you have an estimated count? I don't remember if we've actually,
Yes, I do have an estimated cost. But right now, as we're gathering up, we just closed qualifying. Now we're working on building the ballot. Of course, as we're conducting our elections, the meeting will be building our ballot. Everything is compiled, but it's a draft right now. Up until leading certain deadlines that we have to test the LNA, logistic and accuracy with equipment and all that. I'll be able to provide an accurate breakdown once everything is scheduled. Once this agreement is agreed tonight and what the county is borrowing us, then I'll be able to provide an accurate number, if that's what you like.
So we don't have an estimate of how much it's gonna cost.
We
the
do have an
city?
estimate, yes, but that's not, it's an estimate, not an accurate number.
Well, we don't have that in here somewhere?
That's the agreement from the county to us for our memorandum of understanding, so they did.
Okay, my concern is once we sign this agreement and then we get the figures of what everything costs.
I can ballpark a cost for you, but you can't hold me to it.
Okay, ballpark.
It's gonna be around $12,000 with all of the assumed costs, and again, that's an assumption on our
Yes.
part.
So that's what normally costs us every election.
Normally it's
Something-
about 16.5 for them to run the elections for us,
Okay.
so
It's not
a little
nothing
bit-
abnormal.
a little bit less than what we normally pay. And we are sharing a room with them over there as well, so we're not gonna inconvenience the voters. But that's our estimated cost.
So the county is gonna be conducting their,
Yes, ma'am.
as well as,
So it would be the 16 plus the 12.
No, we're not paying for our elections this time. We're gonna do our own, so we're loaning the equipment from them. So instead of paying the 16.5, we're gonna be roughly around 12. And again,
So
soft
now I'm
estimates,
confused.
so.
I thought the ballot was specifically only the municipal ballot.
It
And the
is.
county is still doing,
Yes, they're doing.
They're doing
else.
theirs.
so there is no other
No, ma'am.
election this cycle? So
Well, it's
this-
the county's polling place over there, so they conduct the normal county and statewide and nationwide elections as called for. So they'll be doing that like they normally would at any polling place.
And so so is that the 16.5 number?
So, yeah, so what he's giving is an estimate. That number was supposed to be higher, because obviously with us conducting our own election, the cost was higher. The county
what
made a
was that cost
gesture,
for our elections?
maybe around, I wanna say, 40,000 less. That's
If
just,
we bought the equipment.
yes, that was with purchasing the equipment. The county made a gesture to let us borrow the equipment because 2 years from now, we will have another election where that equipment will be obsolete and no longer viable by the Secretariat office, because they upgrade all the time or, do our software updates and all that. So the county made a gesture to let us borrow the equipment. That amount has significantly decreased. Now, once this agreement gets passed again, and I'm able to see what the county will let us borrow for free, I will be able to do a total amount of actual equipment costs. But there's still logistical parts of the election, which I have to do, certain things about printing costs. Right now, I'm working on a ballot builder with Dominion, so I have to do printing costs of the whole ballots, the poll workers, managerial and all that. And again, I'm kind of recruiting right now, so there's still time, because, we still got 3 months left to the election, so all that, but we're in the time, right, in accurate dates we're meeting, so we're with the calendar with the Secretary office. And yes, the only thing that's missing, I spoke to Shana from the county, is the agreement that we both, the city and the county, will be in the same room. She wanted to do, a memorandum regarding that too in there and all that. I did reach out to her and tell her if she can have the city attorney kind of change it, because this is the exact copy that she provided to us, so they can include that we'll be there and all that, but I'm not sure how we're gonna, we touch bases on that and we'll get back to the mayor and council, but yes, that the city tends to hold a municipal election in the same room, and the county will hold the referendum. So, more voters can have only one place to vote, for both.
So the county is gonna have a referendum this fall? Okay, so,
We'll have a referendum on the SPLOST this fall, for sure.
Okay.
And whatever other countywide and statewide elections that may fall into that.
so you're saying there's no cost when the county has a referendum?
If there's a county election with us, then no. Other aside from what we're doing on our soft estimates, and they're obligated, they're not being nice to loan us this, they're obligated these are state-owned voting machines, so they're obligated to loan it out to a municipality if we want to run our own. But there is no, other than the associated cost of the printing, and again, we don't know for sure. We've got a lot of rough estimates and everything else, but we're not going to be charged. We were charged $16,500 for them to conduct our elections as on top of the county elections. So Without us having them do that or doing our own, there is no charge for the, and this is a polling place. So we loan that out to them for free. We don't charge them during the polling times, early elections and runoffs, et cetera. So there's no associated cost aside from what we have on what we've estimated so far.
So let me ask about, still under Article 1E. Dominion Voting will be a contractor for the city of Morrow to supply the following. So, training of election superintendent, deputy election superintendent, poll manager, 2 assistant managers, 2 clerks. All of that is provided.
Yes, ma'am. They do, it's a state contract, so
That the
for
machine-
them to be valid elections by the Secretary of State standards,
So we're not
they do
paying for
this
any of
for,
that.
I'm sorry?
We're not paying for that.
No, ma'am. It's
Then it
included in
says-
what they're doing.
The city of Morrow shall be responsible for retrieving the equipment. The city of Morrow will be responsible for printing absentee ballots. Printing. City of Morrow shall hire an experienced poll manager and 2 assistant managers. The city election superintendent shall train poll workers. So, poll clerks rather. All of this at F through K is city of Morrow responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying that that's only about $12,000?
Well, if you break it down, there's
16?
2 expenses or 3 expenses in there, which are personnel. The training and other things of that nature will be going towards personnel costs on that. So the mandated training is something that any poll worker has to do. So you've got basically 3 things that you're paying for, which would be your superintendent and your 2 poll clerks that would be there. So the other part of that we don't know for sure is was printing and the mailing out of the absentee ballots, but it's not like we have thousands of those, so it could be as few as 10 or 20, as past elections being the harbinger of those things, but we don't know the answer to that just as yet.
And so how many machines are we gonna be providing?
They're
For the
gonna
municipal?
provide us with one, correct?
What type of machine are you referring to? ID scanners?
The voting machines.
Like, can you be more detailed what do you mean voting machines?
Well, it says Dominion Voting will be the contractor for the city of Morrow to
Right.
supply the following. So we only have it's one machine for
So we,
the whole entire
we
city
do-
of Morrow?
No, it's not one machine. We're doing paper ballots, so we're scanning. All we need is just the scanners. We're not doing the actual, the mini machine that
So we have to do paper ballots?
yes, we're doing paper ballots.
So the machines are the ones that actually accept the ballots and take them in. It's not a voting tabulation machine, I guess would be a better way to state it.
Other questions? Right. All right, going on. The other one, I want to add it to the actual agenda, and that is the acceptance of a park grant. I think you're going to appreciate this one, but let's hear what Mr. Baker's got to say about the park grant first, and then you'll understand why we will want to accept it.
As you all may recall, a while back, we came to you with some planning and some requests for funds to do a draw out for different phases and phased approach to the Barton Memorial Park. It's been a long day. But we are currently proud to announce that we put in for a grant with the Department of Natural Resources for the grant for the first phase of the Barton Memorial Park. Some time ago. It's been a laborious project, and it's taken some time, and we've had a lot of friends that helped us out as far as from our consulting team and also from our grant writer. IT helped out, put together some of the presentations, and behind me you'll see one of the presentations that we've already shown before. But today we received our acceptance letter for a $1 million grant from the Department of Natural Resources to begin the first phase of the park out there. So what I'm requesting today is a resolution to accept the terms of the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant and to be able to move forward with that with the appropriate documents and to allow the mayor to sign the acceptance of that.
Let's go ahead and show them your PowerPoint.
Yeah.
A number of you have seen this before, but it's been a while ago.
Okay,
so-
I thought he was running through it. Go ahead with the next slide. The programming and uses, this is one of the ones we showed you from the previous one. There will be several different things. Not all of this will be available after the first phase, but we have a map later on here that will show you the phases of it. So that's part of our design out there right off of Meadowbrook. And just to remind everybody, this was land that was bequeathed to the city of Morrow by a family, the Barton family. It is strictly regulated, this is what we can do, so it's not anything you can develop commercially or put residential units on, so it has to be a park. We have a little park on the corner. This will be a much bigger park across the street. Next slide, please. So you have pickleball courts, you'll have, that can also be tennis courts, some potential parking over there, some pavilions. Next slide, please. So different approaches to this on Argonne Entry Drive, shows you that. Pickleball courts, the social areas, so you're gonna have some landscaping out there to beautify that. One of the challenges of that park area is on the back side of it, up against the interstate, are some wetlands, which is where the Department of Natural Resources was kind of fit into the niche for this grant. Next. Children's playground. And this one may or may not happen, but this is part of what architects like to draw a lot of things. So maybe or maybe not an amphitheater. The flexible lawn areas, so you have places for people to go out and hang out. You're gonna have some pavilions, potentially some restaurants. This is the part that I think caught the attention and kind of won us a grant, is where we have a bridging strategy across that drainage creek for a walkable path system out in that area to enhance our current, kind of cheated on that side of town because we don't have a lot of path system over there. So this is gonna kind of start off a nexus point for us on that side and eventually lead to connectivity of the whole city through a path system. Different implements will be out there.
And it gets,
There they
it
go.
gets built in phases, so when you see everything, let me assure you that, $500,000, out of $1 million does not get you very far, right? But usually once you have a grant and you do what you say you were gonna do, then that allows you to apply for more grant money, so that when somebody's just not throwing a big number out there and you're not just building whatever you want or never building it at all. And then tying up all the resources for the entire United States. So in this particular case, we have a nice piece of property. We've had some concepts, and now you've taken the concept into, something, and you now have the resources to start. Alex.
Good evening, my name is Noah Henley. I'm curious, what currently occupies that area where the park is going to be inputted?
It's purely Greenland over there.
Pine trees.
Green
and
space.
Dreams.
Green space.
That's
Okay,
about
so
it.
what are we doing to maintain, make sure that we're not just eliminating all that habitat for wildlife?
You asked a similar question last time. We do have about 35 acres of associated green space across the interstate, so that will be maintained because it is a wetland for sure.
Okay, and then for what exactly is being, what kind of landscaping is being put into the park? Because I know that we can, obviously, in order to maintain the ecology of that land, we can input native plant landscaping as opposed to, I don't know, some trees from Japan or anything like that, or flowers from, places that wouldn't be beneficial to the ecosystem. And
Well, that's why we hired the architects we hired, because they've done similar things down in South Florida along swampland areas, and obviously with the Department of Natural Resources involved with this at the state level and federal flow through on this, that is part of what the concerns were, and that's why it's a land conservation. Currently not being used, but that path system in the back with the bridge over across the water area will preserve that and allow people to observe it as well. They actually have a whole hydrology report. They have an entire layout for the landscaping that is going to be complementary to the landscape out there currently.
okay, so it's gonna input plant species that were already there into the current
Yes,
landscaping?
that and some enhancements as well.
Some of what's out there is called kudzu.
Yeah,
Well, I know,
That's
I know.
not real,
I was going
something you
for-
wanna hang on to.
Yeah, don't wanna put any invasive plants out there,
Well,
but native plants.
they already exist, and we've got a little, trail system that goes through there as well. It's just not very well used, just because there's not a real lot of access to it, right? You can go to the other park on the other side. The idea is not to just have 30 acres of property. The idea is to create a public use
Yeah.
at a higher rate than we have right now for 30 acres in the
Yeah,
heart of the
of
city,
course.
especially on that side of town, which is kind of park deprived, right? We've got some pretty cool stuff on this side, not so much on that side. You know, and we need to start tying it all together, get some interconnectivity.
Yeah, my only
It's a good
concern
start.
is preserving the ecology of that area, making sure that we're not just eliminating, you know, half of what the habitat we currently have.
Yeah, if you walk it and then come back and see me, you'll understand. There's not a lot there that's pristine. We're not in North Georgia, this isn't a trout stream. It's kind of a stormwater pond, you know? And what happens when stormwater runs off I-75, for an example, they would never let you do that today. But if you stand over there when it rains, you'll have a greater appreciation. The federal government doesn't control the quality of its own water. They don't. Stand there and I'll approve it. So then that ends up just down in that creek. And that creek then starts to fill up with all the stuff that came off I-75 over many, many years, right? So that's not water quality of any stretch.
Okay.
So as you're starting to build this, those are the type of items that we can build into it, right? Because you're working with water quality and conservation from the state. And that really changes the true water quality of what's out there. And this is getting into the weeds a lot. You know, it's not like we're gonna be able to go fishing in there today because everything's just gonna die. Fair? You know, tire marks, whatever.
So we're gonna be working on the water quality of that area is what you're saying?
Yeah, you won't have any choice, because when you start to look at, where all the water's coming from, you're gonna have to manage that. It's not, you know, the plan itself is pretty good visuals, you know, but when you actually start, you know, talking about managing the property, you know, that's a combination of water and how much and how fast. And all of that gets built into anything that you're building these days, right? That's a whole different set of rules. Hey, John, as a matter of fact, there's a gentleman, John Chafin, former representative, county commissioner, I believe, well esteemed, and he also serves on the Water Authority for Clayton County. So if you want to talk water quality,
Yeah, well,
catch him before he leaves.
My main concern was just making sure that the landscaping is cohesive with the current ecology or enhances the current ecology, and the ecological functions of the area.
I want to say we'll do better than that.
So, all
I
right,
think you'd be
well, I
appreciative.
wanna take a look at that, landscaping plan for that area.
Right now, we got a pretty map, but the $500,000 will help us
Yeah,
produce one.
Okay, so
Alright.
we haven't put together, the plan, like what exactly we're gonna input yet?
No, not
Okay,
even
so
close.
there's still time to,
There's plenty of time. This will take years.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be my age when we're done.
all right.
Other comments from anybody? None? All right, and then I need to add that to the agenda. Do I hear a motion to add it to the agenda? It's a $500,000. There's a $500,000 good reasons for this. All right, so I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Wake up in it.
Motion probably seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Mr. Quah?
Aye.
Ms. Dean?
Aye.
And Ms. Wing? Perfect.
Thank you, Mayor and
And
Council.
we will reconvene at 7:30 for the normal city council. And I do want to do a shout out, and that's to our friends at Toto. If you don't know, you know, what was happening out there, and you're paying attention to Clayton County, they expanded, you know, their existing facility. And they're mostly known for porcelain, you know, bathroom fixtures, things along those lines, you know, but they're very high quality, right? So when you see these, they're anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 on up, depending on what you have. And so they expanded their facility, and they basically invested in this area another $220 million, right? And that preserves, you know, I think they told us 400 and some odd existing jobs. And if you haven't had a chance, we'll post some videos. But you're seeing very high tech, your manufacturing facilities out there, that you would not expect, right? And so it's a Japanese partner, and we want to thank them for making their expansion in our area. And they use Georgia clay and Clayton County water, you know, so we appreciate that. But a big shout out to them, and they did a ribbon cutting or a re-ribbon cutting on Friday. And you had a governor's response, and you had a couple other things, so we want to thank them for that. You know, and I was wearing a hat earlier, you know, so I'll make the deal to everybody. You invest $200 million in the city tomorrow, I'll be happy to wear your hat. You know, and we'll see the rest of you at 7:30. I'll call the order of the August 26th, 2025 regular meeting of the City of Morrow to order. If you will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. And I won't mention names, but there was somebody that's pretty close to, you know, the people that work here, and certainly people who have lived here for many years, you know, that has a very significant health issue. And so if you would keep them in your prayers, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Approval of the minutes for August 12th, the work session and the regular session. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Motion properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Mr. Qua?
Aye.
Ms. Dean?
Aye.
And Ms. Nguyen?
Aye.
Motion carries. Public hearing. Are we doing another one, or the first one good enough?
Yeah,
Okay. That was it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Same on the moratorium. Ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 2505, declare the tax millage rate in the city of Marl. That's the first reading, correct?
First reading, yes, sir.
First reading, second time. You've got a copy of that in the back. Ordinance 2506, basically imposing a temporary moratorium on the acceptance and review of applications of installation and construction of cell towers, including small cell wireless facilities, for a period of 90 days and for other purposes. This is the first reading. That's also available in the back. It was discussed in the work session. We have Resolution 2505, a resolution calling for the City Council to authorize city officials to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Clayton County Board of Elections and Registrations for election equipment and to provide for an effective date. You've had discussions during the work session. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion probably seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Nay.
Mr. Qua?
Yeah.
Ms. Dean?
Nay.
Ms. Nguyen?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. We had one agenda item that we were adding, and that was going to be for the acceptance, or it's a resolution, what was it, resolution? 2025-06, which was to accept, you know, is that $1 million, is that $500,000 grant?
$500,000, $1 million project.
Yeah, 50% match.
50% match.
Yes, sir.
So that's real money. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion and properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Mr. Qua?
Aye.
Ms. Dean?
Aye.
And Ms. Nguyen?
Aye.
Motion carries. General comments from the audience? And they're coming in. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We got gavels. They can sit up here and take pictures. We're getting close, okay? And comments from the audience? Do y'all have any comments? They're small, but, you know, we usually bring them in. They're pretty wild.
I apologize.
Oh, no, you're fine. Meeting's almost over, but do you have any comments?
My name is Minister White. I'm a street minister. I've been there over 30 years. This is my mother. These are my grandchildren. Mom, have a seat.
Okay.
Forest Park knows me very well. Also, Sheriff Ellis know me very well. Although I don't live in this city, I'm for Clayton County. So I try to come in to see what's going on. I'm for helping people, help homeless people countless times. Although I struggle with my family, whatever God tells me to do, I do. Because I'm a street minister. Also in Forest Park, I help somebody get into office by telling people, I'm in an important meeting. Apologize. Usually they're not with me when I come to things like this.
Okay.
But my goal is what kind of programs do this city have to help homeless people and to help elderly people? I'm 50, I'm considered a senior now, but she's an elder. She's older than me. So we're grandparents, taking care of grandkids. So I wanna know what kind of programs y'all held for grandparents that take care of grandchildren, elders, seniors, and homeless people.
Okay. The city clerk's out here on the left, and you're welcome to talk to him, and he might be able to, and the city manager's over here on the right. So they would be able to help you, or at least tell you where we have, or who we cooperate with on different programs, okay? All right, any other questions?
One more thing, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
What is your name?
I'm John.
Huh?
I'm John.
John.
Cam Eastman.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. Any other questions? All right. Comments from the city council? Ms. Knight?
I did want to provide a comment with regard to the vote this evening for the intergovernmental agreement. My no vote stemming from all of this information that we need to be prepared for the municipal elections being provided to us today, and it's still very vague in the sense that we don't have cost estimates. So just understanding a path and a road that we're going down, we may have a free machine, but we still are not clear on what it's going to take to pull this off. So I just wanted to provide that information to the public.
Mr. Clark?
No comments.
Ms. D?
I also have a comment regarding the agreement. This was something that I had spoken to some while ago about if this was going to happen, that we get all the information prior to. We're getting the information after the fact. And I am not prepared to go into an agreement when I don't know how much it's going to cost the citizens. And that has been a concern for me and from other council members as to costs incurred by the citizens. And so this is one of those items that I think we should have had the cost analysis of this election, since we're taking it on anew again. And the reason that we had the county to do our elections in years past was because it was cost effective and we did not have certain issues. So in my mind, I'd like to have some answers to those issues and questions and the cost of this election going forward.
Fair enough. I think the city clerk said he would get that information to you. Ms. Wynn?
I just want to say thank you to Public Works for beautifying the city, especially where they're entering the city area. It makes a huge difference for our city. That's it. Thank you.
Perfect. I just want to do one more shout out to Toto. If you can invest $220 million in the city, I'll be happy to wear your hat too. But with all the different things going on that just we know of, not including the dreams and the other things that are on the table, that is $500 million within a mile of this building, and that is pretty darn impressive. No matter where you are. So remember when Mara works, you work too. Right, and that's the only way we make money. So the business community has got to be vibrant. Your residential community, we saw us post it the other day. The second house, if you will, it's laid out for Meadowbrook. We posted it on Facebook. So that's 3-car garage, double masters, and a terrace above the garage. You got to look at the photographs. It's pretty cool. And those plans have been submitted to City Hall. So this isn't a maybe. This is real construction. And again, good to see you, John, and happy to talk to you after.
Mayor, before you close.
Yes, ma'am.
May I have, I'd like to make a request for the next council meeting that we have the cost analysis for the election.
City Clerk, can you have it by then?
Yes.
Right, yeah, no problem. I think you'll find it's easy enough. All right, we appreciate you. Y'all have a night.